if this is like the rest of the classes today, we should have some work time to get working on our homework. The 4 point, or excuse me, not the 4.1 homework, the 1.4 homework. So we'll have some time at the end of class today too. Tomorrow I will hand back your quizzes. I have them corrected. They are in the grade book. You have to take yours yet. No rush. It's in the resource center. Anybody else that wasn't here on Friday, make sure you jump into the resource center and get that taken. Okay? We'll get those back to you tomorrow. And then Wednesday we'll do some quiz corrections and all that fun stuff. And we got some kind of an activity plan on Wednesday too. Okay? With that being said, we are in your white packet. We are on page 12 in your white packet. There is the, what's the name of it? Retrieval, that's it. The retrieval problems. If you would like to try all of that page number 12, let's try that right now. Give you a few minutes to answer those questions to the bestest of your ability. So, what does this right here, whoa, hold on. So, back at it, as I was saying, sorry about that phone call there, what I was saying here is, what does that mean? Actually, not what it means. One, how do I say it? F of 2, okay? Now, what does F of 2 mean? That's what we do with it. Okay? What does it mean, though? The output, when we put the input of 2 into function f, we get the output. So f of 2 really means an output. What do we do with it now? We plug what in? To anywhere that there's a n, in this case, yeah, anywhere that there's a variable in that function f, right? Okay? So if we plug 2 in for x here, we would get f of 2 is equal to 6 times 2 plus 5. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. So this one should be 17. F of 2 is 17. Yes? Okay. F of negative 2. Now I'm going to plug in negative 2. 6 times negative 2. Negative 12. Negative 12 plus 5. Negative 7. Okay. G of 4 says that I'm going to put 4 in for x, now in the g function. What does 3 to the 4th mean? Not what is it, what does it mean? So 3 times, multiplying 3 by itself 4 times, right? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. Now we got, whoa, tripped on that little thing right there. Okay, so this is going to be 81. G of 0, then, would be 3 to the 0 power, and anything to the 0 power is 1. So that's going to be 1. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications on those 4? Okay. Let's go to the next 3. So this is a graph. What two things is this graph comparing or visualizing, if you will? Distance and time. So distance is along the vertical. Okay? So that tells you how far away you are if we are biking. It looks like we're biking. Okay? And time is along the horizontal. So how far away are we at 0.5 hours? So 0.5 hours would be right there, correct? Yeah, I would say that. So I would say that we are 6, 7, 8 miles away, approximately. Would we agree with that? Okay. How long does it take to reach 2 miles away? So this would be 0.3 there. So I would say 0.25-ish, somewhere in that range. Are labels important in those two? Yes, very much so. So that you know what we're talking about. Because you can have 0.25 of a mile, but we want 0.25 of an hour. Okay? So our labels there are extremely important. Okay? Which variable is represented by f of n? So which is our output? On a graph, is our output horizontal or is our output vertical? Yeah? Vertical. So what's our output? Distance. Yep, so distance. Questions on that one? Okay. And then last off, we're finding the slope of each one. In number 6, what is the slope of that one? See who remembers from 8th grade math. 8 is the slope. Yep, exactly. This is in the form y equals mx plus b, and m is the slope. So the slope here is 8. Not 8x, just 8. Okay. If I have 2 points, how do I find the slope? A little deeper into 8th grade math. We've done it already this year. Y minus y over x minus x, and we stay in the same order. So it would really look like y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. But it doesn't matter which order you go in, as long as you stay consistent. So here then, the slope would be 5 minus negative 11 all over negative 2, minus negative 6. Nope, that's right. Just minus 6, not minus negative 6. 5 minus negative 11 is 16. Negative 2 minus 6 is negative 8. 16 divided by negative 8 is negative 2. In a table, how do I find my slope? We could choose 2 coordinates and do what we just did in that last one. 100% we could. Okay? 100%. We could take 2 lines, two points that are on it, we could 100%. What's the other way in a table? This one you might not have seen. And the other way is, it's the common difference here. So right here, we're going up by 1. We're going up by 1. We're going up by 1. So we have consecutive terms there. So it would be the common difference. Here, we're going up by 4, up by 4, up by 4. So the slope here is positive 4. It's that change in your outputs in consecutive terms. Okay? 3 different ways to find slope. Well, all right. Let's get into it today. So now we should be on page 13 in your packet there. Okay. After 4 days, well, Scott has decided to add push-ups to his daily exercise routine. He is keeping track of the number of push-ups he completes each day in the given bar graph. So he's through 4 days right now. Okay. With day 1 showing he completed 3 push-ups. Okay. So he did 3 in day 1. How many did he do on day 2? Thought I heard somebody say 5. Day 3, how many did he do? 7. Day 4? 9. So he is showing improvement. Okay. What kind of improvement is he showing? He's getting better by 2 every day. He's doing 2 more push-ups every single day. Okay? Right? So the question is, how many push-ups will Scott do on day 10? We could just figure it out, right? Right? So on one way we could always do it is we could say on day 5 he's going to do how many push-ups? 11 on 5. Day 6, 13. Day 7, 15. Day 8, 17. Day 9, 19. And day 10, 21. So he's going to do 21 push-ups. Now, the other way of doing that is we could have come up with an equation. And I didn't come up with the equation in that first one, because here in the second one, we're going to come up with that equation. Okay? All right? So, do we want a horizontal table or do we want a vertical table? Horizontal one? Okay. What do you want to label your top line as? What do you want to label your bottom line as? Top would be your input. So that's going to be...
Push-ups?
Nope. That's our outcome. Of push-ups? Yeah. No, that's still my outcome. What's going to be my input? Days. Yep, what day you are is going to determine how many push-ups you do. Okay? Day 1, we did how many? 3. Day 2, 5. Day 3, and so on and so forth. Right? we changing by every single day? What two? Like you gotta give with recursive, you gotta give me some kind of an operation. Mathematical, that is. We're adding 2 push-ups every day. Do we all agree? Okay, you guys all told me that we were adding 2 push-ups, or he was doing 2 push-ups more every day. Yes? Okay. So my recursive equation is going to be the next term is going to equal the previous term plus 2. Agree with me on that? Okay. Now, in function notation, that would be f of n, that's my next term, is going to be my previous term, f of n minus 1 plus 2. That would be how I would write it in recursive function notation. Or I could write it with f of n plus 1 equals f of n plus 2. Either one of those works for a recursive equation. And that gives us the next term is the previous term plus 2. Okay? Now, we got to come up with a explicit equation. Right? It might help us to graph it first. Okay? So let's look at the graph here. Horizontally, what am I going to put in, or which of my labels am I going to put horizontally? Days. So days is going to go down here. Can we go by 1? Yeah? I would think we could. Which means vertically then, what are we going to go with? Push-ups. So day 1, we did 3. Day 2, we did 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, all the way up to 17. Looking at your graph, you have 2 choices. Okay? You either got a linear graph that all of the points are in a nice straight line, or you've got an exponential graph where they're growing. And where it's getting steeper and steeper and steeper every time. Which one do you think this one is? Linear or exponential? Linear. They're all pretty much right in a line, right? Because that rate of change is always staying the same. It's always plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. Okay? So that means down here, for our explicit equation, we're going to want to get a line. Okay? Well, to come up with the equation of a line, my y here, that's going to be my f of n. Okay? Y is just the output. Okay? F of n is the output in function notation. So that's going to be there. My slope here, that's going to be my rate of change. So in this case, what were we changing by every day? plus 2 every day, right? So that's going to be positive 2. Okay? Now here on these next two, these will depend on which point you start at. Okay? So those two depend upon which point you are going to start at. Okay? Alright? So pick one of them that we want to start at. Out of your table. Pick one. You need a number between 1 and 8. 7. I heard 7 first. Okay? So we're going to start with this one right there. Right? So then this is going to become f of n is going to equal, my rate of change was 2. And then my 15 is going to be the output of whichever point you start with. Right? Okay. So now, remember, we're going to have to plug in 7 in here. Because that's our input for that, right? Okay. Well, 2 times 7 is how much? 14. Okay. So right away I got to change something. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. Okay. So I'm going to have to, that's what I was trying to say. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to put something in here to change it so that my output is still 15. Right now, 2 times 7 is 14, right? Plus 15 is 29. 29 is not 15. Okay? So I have to make this be 0. Okay? So I'm going to subtract 7 there. With me? Okay. Now, to make my equation, I'm just going to change this variable right, or that 7 right there, into n. Because that's what I put in. That was my input that I put in there. So an explicit equation is going to be here, f of n is equal to 2 times the quantity n minus 7 plus 15. See how I did that? Okay. Now, with that being said, what if we chose a different point to start with? We get a different equation, right? So there's got to be a way that we can all get the same equation. And that way is we simplify this right here. Okay? So if I'm going to simplify that equation, I can set it up this way. But if I want to simplify this equation, then I'm going to say 2 times n minus 7 plus 15. I can distribute this 2 into both of there. 2 times n is 2n. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. So that's minus 14. Then still plus 15. Right? Negative 14 plus 15. 1, positive 1. So all of those, if we would have tried 8 different ones there, they would all simplify down to be f of n equals 2n plus 1. Okay? And we knew that because we actually answered number 3 already. We said it was linear back when we were figuring out which one it was. Okay? Love it. So, with that being said, you now have the opportunity to get into and get some homework done on pages 11 through 13 of your yellow packet. There's some toilet paper over here too. Okay. All right, so you have the opportunity to get that done. If you didn't get any of your first 3 homework stamped, okay, so we had 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, we all stamped last week. If you don't have those stamped, or if over the weekend you went back and you fixed them so that you fixed the problems that I said that you needed fixing on, I can re-stamp those too at this point in time. Yes? If you can stamp? Yep, that's what we're going to do now. Okay? So I'll stay up here rather than come around to everybody. And then, if you have some stamping, come on up. But otherwise, that's ready to go for you.